Okay, guys, filmar vi idag? It's awesome, we're filming, good for me. Behind me here, we have the wooden shoe tank. Well, if you're from Sweden or anywhere, you know how wooden shoe like. If not, maybe my editor skills, I'll put a little picture in the film for you. But this was nicknamed the wooden shoe tank, and I'm sure you can understand why. Clogs, as my very good friend and cameraman David said, it's a clog. Now you know exactly. This is the clog tank. Sure, there's Dutch people just getting all up in their panties right now. Should I edit that out? Can't say panties, yeah. This one, when the Swedish commander-in-chief in 1941 realized the big rage with self-propelled artillery, the Blitz was going all over Europe, and he decided that we need to start researching a tank like that. And this is the result. It came out in two versions, the M43 and the M44. The only difference, pretty much, I think at least, is the cannon. The 43 had a 7.5 centimeter gun, which was deemed insufficient, and later on it was replaced by 10.5. So by 1946, it went into service in 1944. By 1946, all the tanks had the 10.5 centimeter cannon. Also worth mentioning, I keep talking about the Swedish tank tree, and if you're a World of Tank player, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm sure a lot of you out there is. But if you're not into World of Tanks, ignore me talking about the tank tree. But if you are World of Tanks, this is the ones that is being theories that this would, that the M43 would be the tier 3 tank destroyer. And well, actually there's theories about 2 tank destroyer lines in the Swedish tree, and this would be one of them, the 43 a tier 3 and the 44 a tier 4. So if that will happen, we will see. I don't know, but it feels like a tier 3, doesn't it? I think so. Okay guys, so I mentioned earlier the M43 and the M44 being the tier 3 and 4 in the Swedish tank destroyer tree. I'm going to make it a little bit confusing now, because this one is actually called the tank destroyer M43, and obviously the other one is called a self-propelled artillery, and this is a tank destroyer. We know in World of Tanks that those are kind of sometimes the same, but sticking to history here, this is a M43 tank destroyer. It was based on the M42 chassis, the tank we mentioned, looked at earlier. What was happening here was that the Swedish military wanted to kind of equip their tank companies in the same way as the German model. They wanted to reinforce them with tank destroyers. The tanks of the countries of the world became stronger and stronger and bigger and bigger, and they needed more firepower, so to speak. Tank destroyer M43. Once, as I mentioned, the M42 chassis, they took away the turret, made it open top to save some weight, and added the 7.5 centimeter anti-air gun from Bofors. With that, of course, they had enough firepower to take out the stronger and stronger tanks of that was developing around the world during World War II. So yeah, the tanks were delivered in 1946 due to some delays in the transmission. 8 years later, they did some modification to put the roof back on again to give enhanced protection for the crew. They changed the engine to a more reliable version, since they was working with some different materials than they had original. Also, you got this gas ejector to give. Well, now since you put the roof back on, you don't want to kill your crew with the fumes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This one stayed in service until the 1970s, and as I mentioned earlier, this is suggested to be the tier 5 tank destroyer in the Swedish tree, one of the legs of the Swedish tank destroyer tree.
So a little bonus for you here, guys. This is the sexy AA version of the M43 tank destroyer. It was parked so nicely next to it that I thought I had to shoot some video so you can see it. Quite a cool version, I must say. Old school. And here we're moving into the final part of the part 3 video. This is the tank destroyer 91. Enjoy!
Okay guys, so we're moving into the 1960s here, kind of the getting close to today's tanks. This one is a tank destroyer type 91. The specifications for this one came in 1960s, as I mentioned, 1960s, as I mentioned. What was needed was a tank that was capable of being fast and maneuverable, and as fast as the armored vehicles of that time. It needed also to be able to swim by itself, or cross river, so to speak. And this meant that it needed to be a pretty large volume vehicle, but also, of course, low weight. So the compromise I made, that was I made a pretty big vehicle. The armor is not great, but the maneuverability and the ease of operating it is quite good. Contrary to many of tank destroyers, this one kept a turret, fully traversable turret, and to be able to kind of keep the firepower versus the weight down, they choose this 9-centimeter low pressure gun. So it meant it had decent firepower on short ranges, and to kind of balance also the fact that the firepower was a little bit limited on longer ranges, they gave it a pretty advanced fire control system for its time. These were given to the armored infantry troops. You can have a squad of armored infantry on the back. So this one would support the infantry being able to operate wherever they operated, of course, and being mobile and being fast, and then of course carrying troops with it as it went inside.